Even though we might complain about the trains today, they have a very interesting history. In fact, it is the oldest in the world. It became clear that it was a national network around the middle of the 19th century. Miners in Europe used the first rail lines to move goods around in the 1600s, but these trains were pulled by horses. The first steam trains didn't come along for another 200 years, and they were first used in Great Britain. However, before we begin our countdown, we would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and also press the bell icon. Let's get started. The early days of rail and the big boom. At the beginning of the 1600s, a line between the mines at Strelley and Wollerton in Nottingham is thought to have been Britain's first real railroad. By the middle of the 17th century, industrial tramways were pretty common in Britain, and by the start of the 19th century, they covered a wide area. Most of the time, they were used to move coal and other minerals from where they were mined to canals, where they could then be moved by boat over longer distances. In 1804, when Richard Trevithick's steam locomotive hit the tracks, the real rail revolution began. At the Penny Darran Ironworks in Merthyr Tydfil, the unnamed engine was used on the tramway. In 1801, Trevithick built the Puffing Devil locomotive, which he used to take 6 people down 4 Street in Camborne, Cornwall, where he was born and raised. The engine broke down though just 3 days after this trip went well. The people who ran it then went to a nearby pub. While they were gone, the water ran out and the engine overheated, destroying the boat. By 1812, steam trains were often used to move freight on the Middleton Railway near Leeds. The Stockton and Darlington Railway was the first public passenger and freight railway in the world. It opened in 1825. By the middle of the century, there was a patchwork of private regional operators, and the railroad boom was in full swing, which brought a lot of economic and cultural changes that we'll talk about again soon. The Stephensons and Rocket. By a wide margin, the most well-known steam locomotive that was created during this time period is Robert Stephenson's Rocket, which is also commonly confused for the very first steam engine. It wasn't published until 1829, which is almost a full 30 years after Trevithick's Puffing Devil was first published. George Stephenson, Stephenson's father, was also a successful civil engineer in his own right. His own father had worked at Wylam Colliery, which was located in the family's hometown village, as the fireman for the pumping engine. This would pique George Stephenson's interest in all aspects of mechanical design and construction. In the year 1813, William Hedley created the Puffing Billy. At Wylam Colliery, it was utilized to maneuver coal wagons around the mine. Because it was so effective at doing this task, it was utilized over the next half-century. In the year 1814, George Stephenson created the first steam locomotive on his own. At this point in time, he had already established a solid reputation as a steam-powered technological expert. Stephenson was employed as an engine wright at Killingworth Colliery, and it was there that he constructed and repaired many types of steam engines. Blucher was designed to pull coal along the tramway there. Historians believe that Stephenson designed up to 16 additional locomotives at Killingworth during his time there. By 1821, Parliament had approved a bill that would pave the way for the construction of the Stockton and Darlington Railway. The simplification of coal transportation was a primary motivation for the construction of the railroad, and George Stephenson was assigned the responsibility of designing it. On the other hand, Robert Stephenson was dispatched to assist his dad with the survey that was being done. September 1825 marked the opening of the railroad, but it wasn't until 1833 that steam engines began operating on the track. The Liverpool and Manchester Railway, which opened in 1830 and was the first intercity railway line in the world, was designed by Stephenson Sr. because of his excellent reputation, which led to his being hired later to construct the railway. But the company that paid for the new railway wasn't sure that steam trains could work well on it, so it set up a competition at Rainhill near Liverpool to find a new type of locomotive that could do the job better. The 1829 Rainhill trials, as they came to be known, were won by Robert Stephenson's Rocket, which could go as fast as 30 miles per hour at the time. As the old saying goes, the rest is history. Why did steam take off? The steam engine made a huge difference in how people traveled and moved things. It gave a huge boost to the coal, iron, and steel industries, which were just starting to grow. This helped pave the way for the Industrial Revolution. Raw materials and finished goods could be moved farther and more quickly. The weather didn't affect the railways as much as it did canal and coastal shipping. When the steam engine was invented, road travel went into a sharp decline that didn't end until the 20th century. Steam also brought about big changes in the way people lived. The size of the boom was huge, and by 1900, Britain had 22,000 miles of track. The railroad broke down barriers between different cultures and made it possible for the first national political movements to work, like the Chartists and the Anti-Corn Law League. Post and national newspapers became much easier to move, making it possible for the first time for a large number of people to get information quickly. Professionals from the suburbs could take the train to work in the city, and families from the working class could take the train to vacation spots along the coast. Several things from the time of the steam boom can still be seen today. Some of the most well-known consumer brands today, like Cadbury's, Rowntree and Guinness, grew a lot when steam came along because they could sell their products all over Britain. British Rail stopped using steam trains in the late 1960s, but enthusiasts have brought them back to life in recent years by starting heritage railways all over the UK. The Great Little Trains of Wales. Great Little Trains, a company based in Wales, deserves a special mention as well. The Snowdon Mountain Railway is one of 11 narrow-gauge railways that make up the project. These trains were all constructed in the past with the intention of transporting slate and other minerals away from the mountains where they were found. These trains each have their own unique history that dates back more than a century, and they provide a pleasant way to take in the breathtaking scenery that is located around them. The majority of the Great Little Trains of Wales still run their trains with steam engines, some of which date back to the time when the railways were first established. Enid and Widfer, both built in 1895, are two of the steam engines in our collection that are currently in use at Snowdon Mountain Railway. Two further steam engines, Snowdon and Mall Sherwood, both built in 1896, are currently in need of a restoration. We also have Ralph and Ariri, both of which were constructed in 1923, and Padan, which was constructed in 1922. That's it for today. We hope you found our video interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. Also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new uploads. In the end, thanks for watching and see you next time.